Alright, so hello and welcome to the continued coverage of the Python series, and in this episode we are going to be looking at f-printing, or more appropriately, format printing. So format printing in Python, let me just zoom in a little bit so that you can see a bit better there. So format printing in Python means embedding values into strings in a clean and readable manner. Essentially, it allows us to eliminate messy string concatenations, as it were. So to actually get us going, let's look at an example where we are not using f printing. Then we'll look at a couple more examples whereby we're going to be using f printing. So maybe let's have a name. Let's have a name like Alice. Then let's have the age, and let's set that to 25. Then what we can do is we are going to print this. So we can say name, then we concatenate with a plus, is that. Then we also want to concatenate the age as well, so we are going to put a comma, then age, then we concatenate with what? With age right there, is it? So if we go ahead and save this script and run it on the console, okay, I'm getting that error can only concatenate string, not int to string. So maybe what I can do is I can remove that plus there. Let's see if that solves it. Yeah, that works. All right. So instead of having to use a plus, right, we can use a comma, like in that case there. So maybe let's say you wanted to use a plus in the entire expression right there. The error that I got, let me just explain the error that I got there. I was trying to concatenate or to join a string with an integer, so that's why it gave me that error. So if you wanted to do it in such a way that you're using pluses all throughout the entire expression, like on line 7 there, you simply have to call the string function and concatenate age to a string, is it? But otherwise, the alternative is to mix the plus and the comma, as it were, such that when you run the script like this, you're simply going to get the same output, is it? So you can see that it's more or less the same thing really going on. So anyway, that's not the point of the video. We wanted to demonstrate the concept of format printing. So I'm sure you'd agree with me that this actually gets messy if you have more variables that you wanted to fit into your string, is it? So that's where format printing comes in. So format printing, remember, we are saying that it allows us to embed values into strings, is it, in a clean and readable manner. So let's actually go ahead and look at that in action. So let's f-print the same expression, but this time around using what? Using f-printing. So let's have print, right? So the way to go about it is to first to have an f as your very first parameter, if I should say. Then inside of the string, you now have your string that you want to concatenate. So we want to have the person's name right there. So the way you go about it is to make use of curly braces and the variable that you want to concatenate, or rather to embed in the string, as it were. We are no longer concatenating, but we are now just embedding that value in the string. So what's going to happen is that name is actually going to take this value and put it right there. We have that name variable going on in the curly braces. Then the age, we do the same thing, put the age variable name inside of curly braces, and that's actually going to embed our age inside of our string right there. So you see that this one is not only is it shorter, but it's also going to be much easier if we say had more variables that we needed to embed into this particular string. So let's just go ahead and run this. Maybe just put an empty print right there, or rather just print a pattern, as it were, so that we know when our f-printing begins. So clear the console, then run the script, and you see that here it's actually the same thing as what we have in the previous example right there. So that's f-printing right there. Maybe let's look at another example whereby we want to have expressions inside of f-printing. So f-printing not only allows us to embed to embed variable names, but we can also have expressions going on inside of format printing. So let's look at an example by we have a number A, and that is maybe let's say 45, and we have the number B, which is also going to be called 45. Then say we wanted to print the sum of A and B. So you can actually do that straight away with MF printing, because we have to put an F, then we say the sum of then we say A and B is, then inside of here we can just go ahead and say A plus B, is it? So that's the power of F printing. So when you run this script, you should actually see that we get the sum of 45 and 45 is 90, is it? So this saves us an extra step whereby we actually had to first add A plus B, then save it into some variable. Right? We're actually just evaluating it directly at runtime when print is running. So that's the power of format printing. You can actually evaluate an expression inside of your output, as it were. So not only can you do this, let's look at another example with F printing. Suppose you wanted to print out the price of something, is it? So let's say we're going to declare the price of something is maybe $49. So maybe let's say that's the number there, right? Of the price, as it were. So let's say we wanted to print it. Normally prices are printed correct to 2 decimal places, is it? So if you wanted to do that with F printing, we can achieve the same by saying the price is, then we put price, right? Then we have to do one extra thing, because if we leave it like this, we're just going to get the entire price as it were. But remember, we want it to correct it to decimal places. So we have to put a colon, then a dot, followed by 2F. So the 2F means we want it to 2 decimal places, as it were, as a float. That is to 2 decimal places. So if we go ahead and run this script, play the console and the script, you see that the price is what is 49.97, and instead of having the number printed with all those decimal places after, we are just getting what, 49.97. And also the good thing is you see that it's actually rounding the number correct to 2 decimal places, because the original price is 968, is it? So it's now rounding 6 to a 7. So that's a good thing with what with format printing. So the point 2F right there is telling the Python interpreter that we want to output this formatted to 2 decimal places. We can also do padding and alignment. So let me just add a comment here. Padding and alignment. In some cases, you might want to format things with that are well aligned, or with some extra bit of padding. So maybe let's have a name like say Bob, and we want to print. We want to F print name 10, right? So what does this do? This one, put a comment after there. So this is actually going to give us left aligned, is it? So let me just maybe run the script so that you can see this in action. So you see that, okay, what did I do there? I think I didn't, oh yeah, it's because I didn't put the curly braces. So you shouldn't forget to put the curly braces, as it were. So if I put the curly braces this time around, I should get the name printed, but it is left aligned, is it? So of course there's really not much difference if I were to print it without format printing, but maybe let me put another example so that you can actually see what I'm talking about here. So I'm just going to take copy the entire line, paste it here. So this time around we want it to be right aligned, is it? So what we can do is we can put a greater than sign there, so it's going to be aligned to the right. Then let's go ahead and run that and see that in action. So you actually see that it's now formatting Bob indented about 10 spaces towards the right, is it? So that's printing in action. Let's look at another example. Maybe let's say you wanted to center this. So we can say center. center aligned or centered really. You don't need to say center aligned. So the way you can go about it is to put a caret, the caret symbol, the one that we usually use with to the power of. So that's how you can format things to the center. So let's actually go ahead and clear the console and run the script, and you actually see that this time around Bob is being centered, is it? So yeah, that's how you can go about it. Maybe let's say you also wanted to put, or rather to format your integers in such a way that they have leading zeros, is it? So let's look at that in action. So leading zeros in integers, right? So let's say we all know that James Bond is the 007. So let's say 7. Because if you try to do this, it wouldn't work, right? You can actually see that it's giving me an error, so we can do that. So the way to fix that is to use F printing. So let's say we wanted to print 007. The way we can go about it is to do this. So we can say James Bond is the OG 007, is it? So we can say James Bond, then put a colon, then we want it to be, we want to have three leading zeros, is it? So we put 03 just like that. So let's go ahead and run the script, and you see that it says here that James Bond is the OG 007, is it? So that this time around it's going to work because we're using F printing, is it? But if you try to do it directly without having formatted it, you actually get an error, right? It doesn't. You can also separate values by, let's say you wanted to group large numbers, like let's say 1 billion. You can also format print it so that it's formatted nicely. So let's say printing large numbers. Let's have a salary. Maybe let's say this person is a mega millionaire, so we want to write that's their salary, right? Their annual salary is 1.5 million. So let's say we wanted to print that, but in a nice and formatted way, is it? So that it's easier to read. So we just have to put an F there. So we say the annual salary is, then we put the curly braces and we put the salary there. Then we want the numbers to be separated by a comma, as it were. So when you go ahead and run the script, let me just clear the console. There is something happening with my terminal. Run the script one more time. You see that this annual salary is 1,500,000, 3 zeros there, is it? So essentially 1.5 million, right? But this time around it's formatted nicely with commas. What else can we do with format printing? Maybe using the format method. Maybe let me show you the format method here. Yeah, so let's using, if it's a comment here, using the format method, not methods. Go up a bit. Alright, so let's have the same variables that we had earlier on. Remember, we have name and age going on there, where we have the values Alice and 25. So I'm just going to go ahead and use those so that I don't have to redeclare the variables again. So we can have name, then we put an empty curly brace, a set of empty curly braces, as it were. Then we can have edge, and we can also put another set of empty curly braces. Then right there at the end, you can put the dot format method, and then you put the name and the edge, is it? So this way you can actually you don't have to put the variable names immediately after you've put your curly braces, is it? Maybe you just want to put everything right there at the end. So you can actually just do that by using the format method. So what that does is that the format method is actually going to take the order in which you supply the variable names and plug them into your string that you want to embed with values. So let's actually go ahead and see this in action. Clear the console, then run the script one more time. So you see that wait, what's happening here? Oh, it's because I think oh yeah. So I think I need to redeclare name right there. So let me just because I already have another name. Name has been redeclared on line 20, so I think it's wise I just redeclare right there. Maybe let me put it here, just like that. Then clear the terminal and run. Yeah, so you see that it says name Alice age 25. So maybe if you can have a space there in between so that it's more readable. Yeah, so name Alice age 25. Of course, you could actually put some columns here so that it's even more readable. It's more reader friendly. Yeah. Yeah, so just like that. Yeah. Yeah, so I think is there anything really that I can do, anything else that I can show you? Yeah, I think pretty much this is all you need really. This is all you need. Yeah, so that does it for format printing. Hope you learned something. Okay, I'll see you guys in the next one.